Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, Ask Jimmy Smith. Today, I'm excited to be bringing you some content that's actually a little bit different than my typical Amazon selling, e-commerce, side hustle type content that I do, but it is still in the same vein because this is about my backstory on when I quit my job, the 5 things that I believe everyone should know before quitting their job and what they should have established and done before they do that, as well as just some experience of how you can move forward for the best chance of success and survival naturally after you quit your job. So I know, especially in today's economy, there's so many different people that have aspirations to get out of their regular 9-to-5 job. They want to spend time with their families. They want to pursue something that excites them. Ultimately, they want to have control and autonomy over their time and their lives. And so I wanted to make this video based off my experience on the 5 different things that you need to have before you quit your job, things for you to consider and things for you to have set up as well. So I actually quit my job back in February of 2018. And so it's crazy. As of the time of this recording, it's been 4 years since I quit my job. And I had sold commercial insurance before moving on to pursue my Amazon business. And so that's something that ultimately I was able to utilize to help supplement our income. That's what encouraged me ultimately to quit my job. I started this side hustle Amazon business because I was tired of ultimately selling commercial insurance to businesses and feeling like I had someone on my back all the time, watching over everything that I did. That was the feeling that I got in having a regular job. Now, for those of you that love your job, great. I doubt you're watching this video, but if you do love your job or you love going there and the people that you work with, then maybe these 5 tips won't all apply to you. But for the people that go to their job every day and they hate it, and ultimately they have a dream of pursuing something that is their own, then I highly recommend taking notes or paying attention to the 5 different things that I have that I learned while quitting my job and over the last 4 years since I quit. And so the first thing that I believe that you should do, and this is going to be kind of a tedious one, but this one made a huge difference in my life after quitting my job, which is to read your contract. So if you have a contract for employment, then I highly recommend reading it. Now, if you work at a typical, maybe like a fast food job or a retail store job, maybe the contract in that case won't be as helpful as it was for me. But what happened with me is I read through my contract and I had sold commercial insurance. And I know the industry that whenever you quit your job, essentially they let you go. They don't want you to take any company information, which makes sense, right? It's proprietary. They want to keep their prospects, their clients. They don't want you to have time to take it. So they have to let you go in that time period. But my contract required a 60 days notice of me leaving. So typically jobs are going to require 2 weeks, but my contract required 60 days. Because I was in insurance and I knew they'd let me go pretty much immediately. As soon as I turned in my notice for 60 days and they let me go, they had to pay me for those 60 days because essentially that is what I was promising to work. They chose not to have me come in and work. And so they had to pay me for the 60 days that I had promised to work. Now, typically, most people just turn in a 2-week notice. That's the traditional common practice that you do in most professional jobs. But as you get into maybe sales jobs, you get into higher level management or whatever it is that you're doing, I highly recommend reading your contract to see what they ask of or require for your notice of how long you're willing to stay there. Because that made a big difference. I got an extra, an extra 6 weeks of pay that I wouldn't have gotten if I had turned in a 2-week notice. So because I read my contract, it asked for 60 days of a notice and I turned that in, I was able to get it. Interestingly enough, there were people after me that ended up quitting that place too, because it wasn't, their favorite place to work either. They were actually, I think one was moving across country to sell insurance elsewhere. And the boss actually encouraged them to turn in a 2-week notice. I think I was probably the first one that ever read the contract and turned in 60 days, at least from the way that they reacted to it. So anyway, it worked out well on my end. And I highly recommend reading your contract if you're going to quit your job because it makes a big difference in the income, right? At that point, then I realized, okay, cool. I have 60 days of basically my normal income to where I can use that to build up my business as well. So it didn't affect me right away like it can with most people. So the second second thing that I recommend that you do is to have at least 3 to 6 months of your expenses saved up into a separate savings account. I prefer personally to have over 6 months if I were you, but I know that doesn't always, you don't always have that luxury or that ability, but I recommend having at least 3 to 6 months, because if you aren't starting your own business or anything, you're just going to be quitting to find another job. To me, obviously, try to have that other job lined up first, but if you don't, definitely make sure that you have 3 to 6 months of expenses at a minimum. Best if you can do 6 months to over a year. And you need to make sure that you're calculating things like health insurance and other expenses that may go up because of that, because of you leaving your job and losing those benefits. So have that lined out. You don't want to just quit your job and be stuck with nothing. Now, if for whatever reason you did quit your job and you're stuck with $0 in savings or negative savings or just a month of savings, well, then these next ones might help a little bit more. But I definitely recommend the second step is to have at least 3 to 6 months of your expenses saved up so that you have a nice cushion. You've got a little bit of a breathing room to find the job that you want, or to have a nice runway to take off with the business that you're trying to grow. Whatever it is in your situation, that's what I recommend. So the third thing that I recommend is to have a backup plan. And this is going to be a little bit more difficult for a lot of you, especially if you've already quit your job. But if it doesn't go well, just think through this question. If it does not go well and you take the next 3 to 6 months and you burn through your savings and things aren't going your way, what are you going to do? Just worst case scenario, what are you going to do? Because for me in selling insurance, I knew that, okay, well, sales isn't a simple job for me to go get another job, right? Sales typically commission-based, so I can go get another job that requires me to sell to make any money. So I felt comfortable with that. So, but for some of you, maybe your experience doesn't translate as easily, or maybe it does. Maybe you've got a great network of people that you've built up over your career, and it's time for you, to take that leap and to start your business. But if it doesn't go well, what are you going to do? Highly recommend doing that, because if you at least answer that question, that can give you some more confidence in what you will do moving forward if it doesn't go well. It gives you more confidence in actually leaving your job to pursue the things that you feel called to pursue. So the fourth thing that I recommend is that you talk to your family and friends for their advice before you quit. Sometimes in the heat of a moment, or maybe you have a rough season, a rough period of time at your job, and you just decide, okay, I've been here 20 years, but this is the final straw. I'm leaving. I can't take it anymore. Well, I recommend talk to family and friends, make sure that from their perspective, it looks at least somewhat logical that this is a good decision for you, and just get their input, right? If you're constantly trying to make that decision just by yourself, that's going to be very difficult. So you want to get outside help. You want to talk to mentors and friends and family, and even other, maybe if you've got other people in the industry that you're going to be talking to, that can also be beneficial, as long as they aren't going to go back and tell your current employer. If you know them well enough, you can bring it up to them, right? So whenever I was leaving my job with insurance, I was able to talk to other insurance friends that I had made at other places to get their input on, hey, I'm thinking of leaving to pursue this Amazon business. I know I'm making good money here, but I think I can make more at this business. Like, what are your thoughts? And I got some great thoughts of, hey, make sure you've got some savings. What are you going to do about health insurance? What are you going to do about this? Are you going to be able to stay at home and not be around people as much, right? Are you going to be able to work from home instead of having to go into an office and work with a bunch of people? Because that can be difficult for entrepreneurs, especially if you don't have a family at home. If you're single and you ultimately have to work by yourself, that can be difficult. But luckily I had my wife Brittany, and we were able to work together in the business. So talk to your friends and family that you trust, because if you don't trust them, obviously there's no point in bringing it up with them, but talk to friends and family that you trust before you quit, just so you get their advice, so you can get their feedback and their perspectives on everything it is that you're thinking through before you actually make this decision to leave your job and pursue something else. And so the fifth thing that I recommend before you quit your job, and this is just obviously coming from personal experience, I highly recommend having some sort of a side hustle already started. If you've got this, if you can work it on the weekends, at night, whenever you get home from your job, if you can get a side hustle going with some momentum, that's going to ultimately give you a lot more confidence that whenever you leave, you at least have some income moving forward. Because if you don't have any income coming in, then that's a scary place to be. And it's one place that I would not want to be in. And so for me, having a side hustle and a business that was already established on Amazon, that was a huge help. And so I actually recommend personally the simplest one, the one that is the lowest hanging fruit opportunity, is selling on Amazon FBA, doing the replens arbitrage strategies that I teach on this YouTube channel. So if you want to check it out, I've got a whole playlist on Amazon selling. You can take a look at that. I also wrote the book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income, right here. I'm sure you've seen it in other videos if you've watched me for any length of time. This is the second and expanded edition. We've had over 1,000 success stories that came through either the book or the course information that I've got. So I'll place those links in the description below. You don't have to do the business that I recommend, but I do recommend having some sort of a side hustle. That can be anything. That could be selling Amazon replens FBA. That can be going to garage sales and flipping them on eBay. That can be finding free products that people list on Craigslist and fixing them up and then selling them again on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace. That could be anything, right? You could have gumball machines. You could have vending machines. Just having some sort of a side hustle that gives you the ability to have income coming in also prolongs the length of your savings. So if you have 3 to 6 months of expenses stored up in a savings account, but you're also making $1,000 or $2,000 or $10,000 a month on this side hustle, well, then that prolongs the amount of savings that you've got, which makes it a lot easier and simpler and gives you a lot better room to breathe. And so if you're looking for different side hustles, make sure to check out the other videos that I've done on this channel where I talk about the 30 streams of income by age 30. I also talk about 7 different side hustles that you can do on Amazon. 5 of them don't require any money at all, so you don't need anything upfront investment on that. 2 of them do require some money, but they're very good opportunities. So check those videos out as well. Please leave your comments below. If you're quitting your job, let me know what your thoughts, if you've got any questions that I can help with. If you have quit your job in the past, do you have any further thoughts on things that people should be prepared for? And yeah, please like, share, subscribe to this channel. I really would appreciate that. It helps the channel to continue to grow, helps me to know I'm doing a good job, and helps, to motivate me to want to continue to do as much content as I possibly can. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that it helps you and that it gives you a direction for the 5 things that you should at least be thinking about and focusing on if you're considering quitting your job. A bonus one for those of you that made it this far. Personally, I recommend praying about it. I am a Christian. And so that was something that ultimately helped me, is to make sure that I am on the right path that I felt God was placing me on at the time. And so committing that to prayer, bringing it into a fellowship with other people and getting their advice, that will help you to feel a lot more comfortable about it. So thank you so much for watching this. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and that you have a blessed rest of your week.